in the blank. You're not getting any younger. So
whatever it is that you're afraid to do or say, go do it, go say it. You have nothing to lose.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast, a podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Today's episode is sponsored by POP, the digital healthcare clinic for your pets. An online vet can solve over 60% of pet issues, so before you rush out to the vet clinic, let a POP licensed vet give you an actionable next step to ensure your fur baby is safe and has the care they need. There's no wait times and no appointments needed. Look, there's 164 million dogs and cats in the US, but less than 3% are insured. That's because pet insurance is expensive. It usually goes for $42 a month and $30 a month for cats. Plus, sometimes pre-existing conditions aren't even covered, so you walk away with huge vet bills, even if you are insured. So what would you do if your beloved pet had a health emergency? I know that I personally would be super upset and scared. Sometimes it might be $2,500 on hand to pay for the vet bill, but POP wants to make those hard decisions a thing of the past. POP is an affordable alternative to pet insurance, giving you unlimited 24/7 video and text access to licensed vets and $3,000 a year, an emergency fund, which they'll pay upfront at any vet, all for just $19 a month. One membership with POP protects up to 6 dogs and cats in your home for no added fee, which is amazing. So check this out. There's a link in the show notes today to see why POP is the pet insurance alternative that you need. Hey, any youngers, it's me, your host, Jen Glantz, back with another episode of the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. I've got something special for you today. We haven't had a guest on the show in a very long time. A big reason for why that is because I wanted to make these very intimate and personal, and I wanted to bring my full self to you as my listener. So I kept these episodes pretty much me and you for the past couple of months, but anytime I stumble upon someone who I think is incredible and amazing, I want to bring them to you. And that is why I am so excited to share with you today's guest is Ilana Dunn. She is the host of a podcast called Seeing Other People, and I wouldn't necessarily call her a dating expert because I feel like that title just means somebody who's really stuffy and is going to just preach dating advice to you. She's somebody who is a passionate person when it comes to dating and understanding dating and the topics of just modern relationships and love, and that's a lot about what she talks about on her podcast. She also used to work at Hinge, which is a dating app where I met Adam. And I just found her approach to love and dating was so refreshing and unusual and truthfully just amazing. She's the kind of person that you want to listen to because she's not preachy and she's not telling you what to do. She's exploring topics with you, which I absolutely love. And I think you're going to love today's show, whether or not you're single, you're dating, or you just like the idea of dating. Thank you again for listening to the show. If you like the show, you know what I'm going to ask. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button on your phone or your computer or your desktop, whatever you're listening to it on. Doing that helps you get brand new episodes straight to your phone or your computer every single week. And if you're listening to this and you could leave us a review on iTunes, that would be absolutely amazing. If you're listening to it on Apple or iTunes, just scroll down to the bottom, leave us a review. I'm trying to get to 200 by the end of the year. Every single one of you helps make that happen. And we're almost there. We're at 170, so slowly but surely we'll hit that 200 mark. All right, go enjoy Ilana, and I will be back next week with a brand new episode. All my love, Jen Glantz. All right, welcome to our show today. My very first question for you is one I like to ask everyone. How would you describe who you are and what you do to a person you just met at a party?
That is such a hard question.
I know, it really is. No one ever is prepared for that at all.
That's like, tell me about yourself. Or if you have to answer, like, if you have to fill out a bio for your website or something, it's the hardest thing in the world. But I will give it a try. I am Ilana Dunn. I am 27 years old. I've always lived in New York my whole life. I grew up outside of the city, went to school upstate New York. Now I'm in New York City. What I do, as a 27-year-old, I have been doing the thing that many people do, which is dating and trying to find love and figure my life out. And I have had a lot of ups and downs with that. And I ended up starting a podcast about it and really getting into the dating advice world. Though I will say, I try to not actually give dating advice. And I think my role in the dating world and with the podcast is sort of just being more of a friend to people. I'm kind of the friend that's in the trenches with you. I've been through a lot of shit. I know that dating is not easy, and I like to talk about all of the different things that come with modern dating and the difficulties and struggles that we face. So that's me.
I love hearing all of that. And it made me think like nobody ever teaches us about dating, right? Like, when do you think is a good time for a person to learn about dating, and who should teach them these things?
I think that college would be a good time to learn, because while most people are not looking for serious relationships in college, it's when you're starting to make like real human connections. Like, you transform so much as a human and you grow up so much, and then you graduate, you're out in the world, and you do have to start dating. Like, that is when people start going on actual dates for the first time. And I think having some form of like background and knowledge about how to actually date would be so, so helpful. And who should teach it? I guess us. um, I don't know. I mean, I think if it was a type of thing where it was like there was a Life 101 course in college and there was an actual professor teaching it, nobody would give a shit. No one would pay attention. So I do think it's people like us, people who have been through every aspect of it and can talk about it in a way that really makes sense and is like, here's what you're going to face. And here are some things that, like, mistakes that like I've made that you could probably avoid and save yourself a lot of pain.
Okay, here's my proposition is that colleges should have a class on dating with a person like you, or a person who's gone through all of these different things, to sit a person down and say, like, here's what you're going to experience. Half of you in this room are going to be engaged by 24. Of that half, some of you will then get divorced by 27. The rest of you are really in for a treat, and that treat is called online dating. Like, why I just wish colleges had that. And then they had some cool finance person who was like, here's what's going to happen there. It's like, what are we going to college for anyway?
I don't know. It's crazy. It is crazy how much time we spend learning about things that really, like, our brains are never going to use again.
Wait,
and
what
then all
did
the
you
things that do matter, we never learn about.
Never. What did you major in college?
I actually majored in television, radio, film, and music business. And I did work in the music industry for a while. And everything I learned in college, I actually do use now. So I am the exception to the rule.
Okay, I love that. One of the things I was so excited to tell you is that we have something in common. And I was going to make you guess, but it could be endless. So I'm just going to tell you. We have something in common. And that thing in common is that very long time ago, I was the face of a dating app, just like you were the face of a dating app. I was the face of J-Date. Not many people know this.
Stop it.
And J-Date.
Out.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. J-Date used to have these banner ads with my face that was like, Jen is looking for a mensch who she loves more than pizza. And it was everywhere. So at one point,
oh my God, you're my hero.
At one point in your career, you were the face of Hinge. So tell us about what that meant for you, your dating life, and just life in general.
Yeah. So I was really the face of like modern millennial dating. And at first it started out with me creating like 30-second, 60-second, 2-minute long video clips about different topics in dating. Like, why do people ghost? Why are we afraid of commitment? And I would do my research, put together a little script, film it, and maybe it would help a few people. But there was one point where I actually decided, like, I was going through a breakup and I was like, I'm going to open up about the fact that I'm having a really hard time. Like, I always, like, people always come to me for advice, but I'm going to open up and say, I'm really struggling. Like, what advice do you guys have for me? And me opening up that I was having a hard time getting through this breakup I've never gotten more feedback or more responses or more people messaging Hinge saying like, thank you for doing this. This helped me. I felt so alone. I'm going through this too. I thought I was the only one. And that was a really big like light bulb moment where I was like, wow, if I actually open up about my experiences, like I've been here for a year, everyone knows who I am. They know me. They know I'm the face of Hinge. They know I'm the Hinge girl, but they don't really know what I've been through. And if I talk about that, that's going to make people feel less alone. That's going to make people feel less crazy. And so I started doing that. And it was truly one of the most like rewarding and eye-opening things that I've ever done in my life and my career. And that was pretty much what the rest of my experience at Hinge was me really talking about what I've been through and what I've learned from it, what I wish I knew, how other people can avoid going through some of the more like difficult things that I experienced in dating.
I feel like a lot of people who are trying to date, that's a portion of their day, but you were dating and working for a dating app. So you must have seen it all and heard it all. What do you think some of like the worst advice or excuses people gave when it comes to dating?
Oof. I mean, a lot of people just have no idea what they're looking for and they don't know how to communicate. And so there were a lot of things that I like situations I ran into and that I saw other people running into where like you get into a situationship and I'd be dating somebody for like months, literally meeting all of their friends, meeting their family. And I'm like, yeah, like we're dating. Like this is like, this guy's like pretty much my boyfriend. And then he'd be like, oh no, I'm not looking for anything serious. Like I never said I was. I'm like, yes, you didn't say that, but like you did all the things. And he's like, but I never said that. Like if I wanted that, I would have told you. And that's not what I'm looking for. And I think a big thing that we all deal with is lack of communication and miscommunication and assuming things. And it never works out. Like if you want to into a relationship with somebody, if you want a strong foundation, like you need to establish what you want and what you don't want.
Okay, so when should these conversations happen? Because there's some people who are trying to play it cool for X amount of time before they're like, by the way, I'm looking to get married in like 6 months from now, but they never mention that. But then there's people like me who put it on their profile practically, like, this is what I want. So is there a good time? How do you assess that?
I think that it really should happen within the first like 6 dates. I know there are some people who are like, before you go on a date, tell them what you're looking for. Here's the thing, like, you're not going to know if you're looking for that thing with this person until you start to get to know them. So I think like, yes, have a fun, carefree first few dates, but as soon as you start to feel something for this person where you're like, okay, I have something to lose, or if it doesn't work out with this person, I'm going to be upset. Or you know what? I do see something with this person. That is when you need to let them know what you want, because the more attached you get, the more you're risking yourself getting hurt if it doesn't work out.
You know, you often hear people say like, I'm so scared to say this to them because what if it freaks them out? What is your opinion on that, about freaking people out with your truth?
If it freaks them out, then it's not something that they were ever going to be okay with anyway. And no matter how, like what way you communicate it, yes, there are better ways to communicate than others. But if it freaks the person out, then that's not what they were looking for. You know, like you guys were not on the same page. And I know sometimes it's really scary to tell somebody like that I'm looking for something because what if they're not? Or to tell somebody I like you, like I see a future, and what if they don't? But you'd rather find out sooner than later.
I agree. I feel like, you know, I'll tell you how I met Adam. I met him on Hinge, but I did 14 first dates.
Not on J-Date?
Not on J-Date. I had been J-dated out. And I did like this experiment where I went on 14 first dates on Hinge and I met nobody. Adam was date 15, but by that point, I had cut the show. Adam walked in the room. I'm like, hey, here's exactly who I am. I'm a lot of really bad things. I'm a lot of decent things. And I didn't care if it freaked him out, because if that truth freaked him out, I didn't want to go to a date 2 at that point, you know? So yep. I think that that's so important to remember. But it's hard. It's really, really hard. I mean, like, do you feel like people put and I'm guilty of this, but people put so much emphasis on date 1, like by date 1, they're planning out. So then how do you take that pressure off?
I think it's really like a mindset shift. Like you want to go into the first date being like, I want to have a good time. Like that's all. You just want to have a good time. And if you have a good time, then great. Then you know you want to go on a second date. You cannot go into a first date being like, is this person my husband? Is this person going to be my wife? Like, is it going to work out? Are they my forever? Like, you can't do that. You're putting way too much pressure. It's not an end all be all. Like, it is a first date. You just want to know, like, am I going to have a good time with this person? And then after, if you had a good time, great, go on a second date and then take it from there.
I'm so guilty of on the first date while I'm with them planning out like the future home we're going to live in, the hobbies we're going to do together, and then they ghost me. And then you're devastated. They're devastated.
I know. I mean, Jen, trust me. Like when I was on Hinge, the second we would actually match and I'd see their last name, I'm like, okay, like Ilana Gland, how does that sound? You know what? That sounds pretty good. I can do that. And like, if I would ever see them in a tux or like a suit at a wedding, I'm picturing, okay, that's what they're going to look like at our wedding. Cool.
I think we need to normalize this. Like, it's not the right thing to do, but we need to normalize that we all do it so that we can all feel like, okay, you can do it, but then get away from that fantasy pretty quick.
Exactly. It's like you can have all those thoughts and you can like be funny and silly and aspirational about it, but then like on the date, like are you having a good time, you know?
So your podcast is called Seeing Other People, and I love it because it's a reminder that dating doesn't have to suck. But a lot of people, and I'm also guilty of this, who are in that dating process will tell you it sucks. So just maybe tell us what parts about dating don't suck and how we can really revisit how we feel about the art of this.
Well, I'm laughing because my first podcast actually that I started when I was at Hinge was called Dating Sucks. So,
well, you've come a long way with your taglines and podcasts.
I've tried, yes, like you said, like dating is really hard, but there are so many wonderful things about it. I think we learn the most about ourselves when we are going through all the phases of a relationship, including like a breakup and including like having to rediscover yourself and find yourself. And I think as hard as it is, like we grow and learn so much and it really does shape us into who we are. I think another amazing thing is like human connection, like falling in love and getting to that place is one of the most incredible feelings. And even if you're listening to this right now and you're like, well, that hasn't happened for me yet, like it will. And even if it doesn't happen, like those happy moments, those moments where you feel alive and you feel like you're connecting with somebody on a date, like those are so amazing. And that's like why people date, like people wouldn't date if it wasn't fun, if it wasn't enjoyable. And like dating is something in a span of human history, like dating is very new, it's something that hasn't been around for a while. Like people never dated, people would just like marry so that they could reproduce and Earth could continue, like dating didn't come until like in the last like 100 or 200 years. And we're lucky that we get to do this. We're lucky that we get to meet different people and explore what makes us happy and who makes us feel like our best selves, and I think it's fun. Like dates can be really fun. You can go do amazing, like exciting activities that you wouldn't normally do. You can try new restaurants. You can try new foods. You can explore different parts of your city. Like there are so many really great things that come with dating that are overshadowed by the downsides of it.
I absolutely agree. And I think the number one thing you can learn from a good date and a bad date is what you said. You learn about yourself. You also learn how to communicate with the person who you don't really like, which God, we need to do that as adults all the time. But this is a question I wish I would have asked you before I met Adam. How do you end a bad date? Because I was so guilty of being on these dates for 3 hours with people who were awful, but I didn't know what to do. So I know people out there are like, I don't date because I don't want to go out with someone I don't like and be stuck. How do you end it?
It's rough. And I wish I had a better answer because I'm guilty of it too. I mean, there's like one specific date. My roommate's mom set me up with like one of her friend's kids. She's like, this is going to be amazing. They're going to fall in love. It was like the worst date I've ever been on. And one good thing is always like drink, if you're at drinks or you're at dinner, whatever, like drink your drink slowly. And then so that you don't order another one, hopefully they will match your pace. And then when the waiter comes, be like, and asks if you want something else, just say like, I have like a really early meeting tomorrow, or if you're in school or in grad school, whatever, like I have a big exam in the morning. I should probably call it quits now. Or just say like, I'm getting exhausted. Like, this has been really nice. I've loved getting to know you. Like, glad we did this, but I should home.
I think that's actually a really good answer. And I think people need to remember you don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe them 30 minutes, an hour, anything. I went on a date once where after 5 minutes, he was like, look, I'm just going to leave. And
really?
It was like a park date. And he actually walked me out of the park. And he was like, Yeah, no. And I was like, at the time I was soul crushed, but now I look back and I'm like, he didn't waste my night. He didn't waste my
Yeah.
time. And I so respect that, you know? So I think that that's super important. So let me ask you this question. Working in dating, having a podcast in dating, how do you think it's ultimately shifted your dating rituals, your dating mindset and habits?
I mean, look, I have learned more about myself in the last few years than I ever imagined. Like who I was when I was like, I'm 27 now, who I was when I was 24 or even 25, completely different human. And I'm so grateful for all of the time I've had to like reflect and think about things and like talk to experts and figure out where I went wrong, what I could have done better. But I'm still human. Like I still face ups and downs in dating. Like, yes, I'm in a relationship now. I got into a relationship with somebody in January this year. But before that, like, yeah, I was crying over guys who, after 3 dates, they would just be like, nah, sorry, like, I don't feel anything. Or I was getting ghosted or dealing with things that everyone deals with. Like, no matter how much you know about dating, that doesn't necessarily mean it's all going to work out. You still have to find the right person. You're still going to date and find people that you're not compatible with. So it's still a journey, and maybe it will work out with the guy I'm dating now. Maybe it won't. I'll have to start all over, but I feel really lucky and like happy that I'm in this relationship that I'm in. And I've been able to now finally use a lot of the things I've learned about communication and actually like being on the same page and getting aligned with somebody and working through things together. So that's been really exciting and cool.
It's just crazy because you can't plan your life ever, but your career didn't start off in dating. You didn't know necessarily you were going to enter this world, and you did, and it's shaped you in so many cool ways, which is so awesome. I want to end this interview by ending it with a question I ask everybody. Fill in the blank. You're not getting any younger, so...
You're not getting any younger. So whatever it is that you're afraid to do or say, go do it, go say it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. One thing I learned from, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a one sentence answer or what, but one thing I learned from my mom that I have taken with me everywhere is like, if you don't ask, you don't get. And I think that is so true. Like if there's something you want, if there's somebody you want to talk to, if there's even like a person or a job or anything in the world, like if you don't go for it, if you don't ask for it, it's not going to happen. Like the only person who can make it happen is you. So if you're afraid to date, like get on a dating app. If you're on a dating app and you're afraid to actually like go out on a date, just try it. Just go on one, try it. You got to start somewhere. So go do it. You're not getting any younger.
That's the perfect answer. Thank you so much. Can you share with everyone where they can find out more about you and your awesome podcast?
Yes. So you can check out Seeing Other People on all streaming services and of course follow on all social media at Seeing Other People. And I am at Ilana Dunn, ILANA DUNN. I think there's a period in between my name on Instagram, but yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you. Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives, for a good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.